So thank you so much for joining the Out of Time class and a spiritual healing class. That's what it is. And yeah, you cannot just start the class with, okay, I'm going to read and boom, boom, boom. No, that's not the place where we meet. So we have to first end up where we start. And so that's always interesting how that happens. So now I really felt like, okay, I want to feel some of that music, you know. It's like, oh yes, a bit of swing in it. It's really great. So lovely tones that we were listening to. And so now that can collapse again. We can sink down into stillness, but also alertness in being present. And it's not a silence that you just melt into in the sense of now you can hardly function anymore or anything like that. No, it's more like you become so present that it's becoming really, say, exciting to be present. And that's totally different. So we need your attention here. You need to be right here. Otherwise we're missing it. You're drifting off or whatever occurs. So your presence here is really essential. And when I mean presence, I mean that you leave everything that doesn't belong here in this class outside. You let it go for a moment. All the concerns that you just had for a moment about the situation that you're in, or about what just occurred, or your considerations about who knows what, we leave those outside. Otherwise nothing will happen here. You know, you can keep drifting away into your thoughts. So it is more like the opportunity to be present here is also, say, relieving you from your concerns. You can see it like that too. And spiritual healing has everything to do with that. It's like leaving your concerns. It is not your concern. No, whatever you were perceiving a moment ago is just not what is occurring. And that is a fundamental premise that we use all the time to come into a moment of recognition, of love, of extension, of receiving. So that's really great, and that's what we practice. So now the question is, are we there? It's like we sense this, you know, are we there? Are we present here? So breathing is always helpful, and settling down into this present moment. The release of occupations and concerns that you had, this is the time for it. And you don't have to think of what am I going to do now. That is that's not really an activity you should do now. It's like, no, you're here, you're completely here. The rest of the universe is just all this. This is the only thing that's going on. It's more like that. So, and then we come into more stillness and peace, and say things are opening up in our consciousness instead of contracting or drifting away or wandering away or whatever that is. No, everything is like, we come here. This is the place. There's nothing else going on anyway. There is nothing outside your consciousness. So if you have your full attention here, that's all there's going to be. And that's good to realize. So the thing that you just let go of is gone. It is nowhere. So you don't need to pick it up again. That's even true too. It's like you don't need to do anything with that. You think that, see, now we're already coming into almost like a teaching mode, but it's like you actually think that the world is responding to the laws that you think you gave it, like the laws that you see operating in this world. You really think that it works that way. That can really be the thing that you think about the world. Okay, I think we're almost all almost all there. Uh, uh, that's different all the time too. So anyway, so you think that the world is operating according to the laws that you project on it. That is so interesting. So that is to do with time, with, oh, yeah, no, I cannot do that because, you know, you have your reason, you have your opinions, your reasons why things are happening the way they do. And that's all based on your ideas, not on anything else. And these ideas, sorry, but are useless, are not, yeah, giving you any information. And I will come back later to why that is that way. But we're actually moving into a field of relativity, of what is chaos, what is cause and effect, what are the laws of God, what is freedom, and what is free will, and all this, what is God's will. See, the great thing with recognizing that the laws that you make and project onto the world, that you think it should operate like that, you see that it does not work at all. Like, it is not working that way. That's why it frustrates you, because it doesn't give you what you actually ask of it. So that is something you might as well just know that is so, you know, otherwise you keep trying and then you have your disappointments continuously, which is not necessary. So, in fact, in the very start of this class, we already returned back to causation, like cause and effect. You think in this world, you know, this is what you project on the world. You think in this world that your cause and effect are apart. Like something is occurring and it has an effect a couple of years later or a couple of days later or minutes later. You think that there's a distance between cause and effect. And this is so fundamentally untrue that it's absolutely hurting you all the time. So, because you're missing the fact that it's instantaneous, that the two are one. Cause and effect are one. There's no separation in cause and effect. You could also say this, and then we come into the field of Einstein already a little bit. It's like, if cause and effect were apart, in fact, you're defining time. You're actually making time when you do so. You're actually, say, creating the idea of time, thinking that here's a moment and there will be another moment which gives you the response. Well, this is where chaos is created, because you know that the laws that you project on the world are the laws of chaos. You know, you see them at work. Like, look at your world. It is the world you see that is so chaotic, that is changing all the time. Everyone has separate places. Everyone has different times. Everyone has different ideas about everything, and it's conflicting continuously. So that is not a harmonious situation. That has no, say, not even one link to the will of God, or the wholeness that is God. And so you can easily see that. So I'm just helping you to see that and explaining it, in fact, to myself, and it becomes pretty clear this way. So it works for me. I hope it works for you too. And I'm actually quite certain of that. So your admittance that you see that the laws that you project on the world actually only create more chaos is an essential thing to remember. So it's like, these laws that I project on the world are not what is going to help me. You know, they're actually causing me pain and causing me the feeling of being separate, because it doesn't seem to work altogether. It's like, whatever I think the effect should be of my action, whatever I think the outcome should be from my, say, effect of that what I put in there, so to speak, where I'm the cause of, that doesn't seem to come together at all. It's one big failure, in fact. Like I do things to become happy, and all these things fall apart. I'm looking for this person to yeah, be with me, and it's not happening. It's just not happening. Or I do certain moves in order to have sufficient income, and it does not seem to work. Or yeah, you fill in the blank. You know that, yeah, how much proof do you need of this? So you certainly recognize this. So you can't imagine, and this is where the will of God then comes in. So it's like you cannot imagine what the will of God is for you. You just can't imagine it, that it would be like a wholesome idea, like a whole idea, where nothing is separate and everything is included. So I'm just mentioning this now. We come back to that later. So talking about your will, your free will, it's like your free will. Yeah, that was great to discover that you had a free will, right? Probably at the age of 2, you start to learn to say no, and it actually worked. You didn't have to do certain things, and or you really wanted something and you couldn't get it, and then you started to respond to it with your own no. It's like, well, if you don't do that, I will do not this either. So and this is like the birth of your free will in your sojourn as a human being. It's like, oh, wait a minute, yeah, that's the time that I think I was born and that I'm going to perish at a certain time. In that timeline that I think is my life, these things occur. So it's like that is already the definition, not of the law of God, but of my own laws that I put on it. So the laws of time are actually in process, if I believe that I'm that. So here comes your free will. So where can you make your varieties with? Is with the idea of time. You can say like, well, yeah, I want to do that at a certain point, like, but not now. I'm gonna wait for a moment because this doesn't seem to be the time to do it. Like, well, this is a very common thing too. So at least you have a choice to delay. You can say like, I can discover what I want to do at a certain point and what I don't want to do right now. In fact, I have 2 choices. Like, am I going to do it now or am I going to do it later? That's in fact my free will. What I'm going to encounter during this whole thing, this whole what I call my life, I have no idea. I have no idea about the content. I have no idea about how that is going to look. That's not defined by me, apparently. There seem to be things happening just by itself. So one thing is this, and that's an important factor in the time and space variety. Since we're still with Einstein in the back of our minds, it's like time and space. So for sure, I know this is where I am. I'm right here. This is where I am. I can locate myself if I want to. I have a GPS and I can actually tell you where I am. And so what is that going to tell me? Well, probably the only thing it's going to tell me in this like humongous universe, as you can see behind, is that I know that I'm on planet Earth, and that planet Earth, I can correlate to that to a certain accuracy where I find myself. Not taking notice of the fact that I'm in this humongous universe with billions of galaxies, where I'm on a planet in the one of the outer arms of a galaxy we call the Milky Way. We're on one of these outer arms, really at the back. So that's not so very specific, is it? So around us are billions of galaxies, just like the Milky Way, and bigger, much bigger too. So it's like, our location precision is very little. Like, it doesn't make any sense in this universe, in fact. But we hold on to it because we need some kind of law in order to function on this planet. So that's what I call then projecting the laws of man on the earth, and thinking that everything is running by that idea. So that cancels out one important thing. And that is the thing why we actually come together, and that is the miracle. You know, so if everything would be defined as we see in this planet Earth, everything would be defined according to the human laws, we would have a total problem, because it's a law of limitation and of such a small way of thinking that, yeah, you wouldn't want that to be your whole frame of reference. You know, so it's like the miracle is already cancelled out of it. There's no such thing as a possibility, like in infinite possibilities is something that is an idea, but it doesn't really live on planet Earth. Like, we don't work with that yet. It can come and it can change even in this hour, of course. So then free will, it's like, yeah, I'm free to sign a contract to say, like, okay, well, these combat vehicles need to go to a certain place on this planet to establish peace, and I can think that I'm right. You know, it's like, these are the laws of men. I can, within the laws of men, that seems to be a reasonable solution, but the laws of men have nothing to do with anything, because what do they miss? The laws of men miss, in fact, the most essential thing, and that is this. It's like, who are you? Who are you? Like, what is the essence of your being? Why do you think that everything is happening in your life? Why do you think, what do you think is the reason why things are occurring? And you say, like, well, don't make it too complicated. Well, some things I really don't know why they are happening, or why this looks like this at this time. I have no idea. I have no idea why I'm in the situations that I'm in, and what am I supposed to do with it. I have no idea. It's like, yes, indeed. So is that an acceptable situation for you? You think that there are no answers to that. You think that, you know, because within the laws of man, you shouldn't think too much about your situation and what you're actually doing, because you get depressed and you cannot handle that. So that is how a human being would think of himself, you know, in this amazing time that we live. If I believe the laws of man, I think also that there is a time, and that there's a very specific time with difficulties, especially for now. And always, you know, it's like, wow, look at that. Look at how we repeat these things and really making that real for ourselves. Unbelievable. So then this is all starting with an idea that you don't know who you are. So nothing makes sense. You know, nothing makes sense because you don't know who you are. So you try to make the best of it within the range of human law and human ideas. So that must go wrong, right? That must go wrong. And it did go wrong. It goes wrong all the time. Then it's like, okay, so as long as I believe that there's time and a difference between my cause and the effects that I'm seeing, I'm actually allowing time and actually pain and fear to be an, say, integral part of my life, you know. So how am I supposed to do that? Because my tolerance to pain has come to an end. It comes to its ultimate, so to speak. I cannot stand any more pain. I don't want more. So there must be something else. And hence the start of your spiritual transformation. You ask the question, is there something else but this? Is there something beyond this that I'm perceiving? Is there something that is bigger than all of us, like that is so huge that I'm a part of and that lives in me? Is there such a thing as a God, or is there something like that living in me? Is there a whole different scenario that can actually show me who I am? Because nobody on earth seemed to have an answer that is really satisfying to me. And suddenly there is an answer for you, very quiet, very still, and very, very comforting. And that you are being touched by that light, if you want. Yeah, like you're being touched by that light that has touched you, otherwise you would not be listening to this. And that is such a different experience than all human law and all the occurrences in human life. There's such a different quality. And so, yeah, you can call that spiritual healing. So spiritual healing is based on an idea that none of this is what it appears to be. It is not. Don't let yourself be fooled by, say, appearances or by perception, because none of that is true. This is just my own idea about how I think that the laws of men are operating in this world. And I got enough of it. I don't want to think like that anymore. So in our spiritual healing practice, in our daily life spiritual healing practice, we take time, just like we did in the beginning, to stand still, saying collapse into this present moment, to seeing that all time is going on right now. This is the only time there is. And this is also the only place. In fact, it is a place without really a location. So you can also say it like, I was self-concerned. I was busy with myself. I was in observation of myself. I was looking at what is this me doing here, and coming to a deeper layer of myself, coming in touch with something else in me, I discovered that this self-definition, this self-observation dissolves, and it has a bit of a feeling of losing myself, and yeah, like I appear to be bigger than I thought I was. Like I'm actually consciousness. That's what I discover. Like, and that's an expanding thing. It is not definable as an object. So that makes it different in my experience of myself. Suddenly my ideas about myself as being this object on this planet Earth becomes, it starts to change, starts to expand. And that has all kinds of effects on this physical thing that I thought I was. But by allowing these new ideas to come to me, I see that they're no longer defining me as they did. So it becomes more lucid, more light. Or sometimes even more heavy, but not regular or say normal into the laws of man. It functions differently, and this is inevitable in our spiritual path, and this is inevitable in spiritual healing too. So that is an occurrence, and it's essential that you are aware of that is occurring. Nothing to be afraid of, but it's different. It's a real different experience of yourself. So all the laws of men that you're accustomed to go one by one. You see the valuelessness of it, and you no longer can function by these laws, and you discover the new law, the free will of God. Yeah, the will of God being your own will. So it's like, I know that I don't want to make the distinctions. I don't want to make the decisions even about where I should go, how it should look, and all these desires and all these definitions that I was accustomed to function by. Now they dissolve, and what happens is that I see that not being afraid anymore to let my world fall apart for just a moment, to see that I'm actually totally supported by God, by something within me that feels like an incredibly all-encompassing total being. Or it comforts me to be guided by that. It's like the only discipline and the only choice I make then is not to do it my way. It's like I'm stepping back out of my decisions. No, I'm not going to decide. I give this away. Yeah, spirit or the universe will decide for me. If I let it fall into place, literally, I allow what seems to be like asking an enormous amount of patience. I see something fall into place really fast, actually. The only thing that was necessary for me is to learn to be patient. So instead of being a patient, you learn to be patient. That's totally different, but it's great practice. So here we go then. We're slowing down. In fact, we're slowing down time, or actually we're speeding it up. But by becoming completely here, completely present here, and deeply diving into our true essence. You know, it's like you dive deeply in, really deeply in, letting everything go, just seeing that, in that, letting go of all the ideas that you think that you have to make decisions for yourself, or that you need to have an opinion about how things should look and what you think about it. You let all this go. You can imagine that you travel like high speed through all this, instead of lingering in places and chewing what the best decision would be and taking time to take a detour and be completely overwhelmed with it and all this drama that's connected to it. You can see, like, by standing still, I actually move so much faster. I'm actually putting myself right here, but I go like light speed. Unbelievable. So that's a totally different experience of time. Because in fact I let time collapse into itself. All right, so that was the introduction that I love to give about this. And now I have to remember what was in the PDF that I sent you. So that was more like a sort of exercise to, okay, so what am I thinking about? The order of the universe. Is God really having a plan how every day of me should look like and all this? Or is this working in a whole different way? And then, yes, indeed, it is working in a whole different way. Do you know how? Can I come to know how it works? Yes, on a moment-by-moment basis, you discover what that is for you. And see how well it all fits into one another with whoever you think is here, present here with you. Like, that fits so perfectly well. If you let go of your ideas, you see the perfection behind all of this. All the scenarios that appear to be trivial in your mind actually are occurring in your highest interests. It's like you have no idea how well this is working for you, how absolutely beautiful everything falls exactly into place. But you need patience in order to see it, and slowing down in order to be consciously aware of where you find yourself. Then everything becomes so easy. But is that easy? No, in practice it is not so easy, because you're so accustomed to projecting your own ideas and in fact running after your own tail, that not doing that is really weird. For a long time it's still like a tendency to start doing this and running after your own tail, after your own ideas, thinking that you need to hold on to it, otherwise what would you do? So you definitely crash into a hole, in fact, into however that's going to look for you. But it's something that will stop you from keeping doing what you're doing. That is a real change that is occurring. So I hope this seminar is a speed up for that, to sufficiently stand still and to make you, practice patience. Seeing that by you standing still, everything goes so quick and falls so perfectly into place that it becomes really like your new discipline and your new discovery for yourself. It's really cool. All right, so we had Einstein and we had Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson. So maybe we should read some Ralph Waldo Emerson. I'd like to read I'll share the screen with you. The dice of God are always loaded. Yeah, I put it there. So I discovered, so Joel was speaking about this too in one of his talks. The dice of God are always loaded. The world looks like a multiplication table or a mathematical equation which, turn it how you will, balances itself. Take what figure you will, its exact value, no more nor less, still returns to you. Every secret is told, every crime is punished, every virtue rewarded, every wrong redressed, in silence and certainty. What we call retribution is the universal necessity by which the whole appears, whatever a part appears. What we call retribution is the universal necessity by which the whole appears, wherever a part appears. If you see smoke, there must be fire. If you see a hand or a limb, you know that the trunk to which it belongs is there behind. Every act rewards itself, or in other words, integrates itself in a twofold manner. First in the thing, or in real nature. Secondly, in the circumstances, or the apparent nature. Men call the circumstance the retribution, and the casual retribution is in the thing and is seen by the soul. But the retribution in the circumstance is seen by the understanding. It is inseparable from the thing, but is so often spread over a long time, and so does not become distinct until after many years. The specific stripes may follow late after the offense, but they follow because they accompany it. Crime and punishment grow out of one stem. Punishment is a fruit that unsuspected ripens within the flower of the pleasure which concealed it. Cause and effect, means and end, seed and fruit, cannot be severed. For the effect already blooms in the cause, and the end exists in the means, the fruit in the seed. I love that. That's beautiful to me to read this. It's like the cause and effect are not apart. They are one thing, and that's like the last thing you wanna you wanna take a look at as a human being. Like you think that there can be time because you use it. It is in fact it is your way out. It is your way out of the direct confrontation with what you're doing. You think that okay, well, we'll work out. You know, it's like, yeah, whatever the consequences are. I'm not thinking about that. No, the consequences are right now. And you actually know that. So with your increasing sensitivity in your transformational way, with your increased sensitivity, you discover that you feel the pain immediately when you do something that you actually should not do, or that you hurt somebody. You feel the pain. In what you say and what you don't say, you immediately feel yourself locked up in the situation well, you can actually release it right away by recognizing that it hurts and saying, wait, this was not what I intended. I'm going to let this go. I'm not going to do it this way. And there it is, free to be itself again, instead of carrying it with you, just like we said the other day. It's like you carry some cause and effects way from each other. You knew the moment that you were wrong but didn't admit it, that it would cause pain. You thought it would cause pain to others, but actually it caused pain to you right from the start. Well, this is really like spiritual healing, in the sense recognizing that, immediately doing something with it instead of stretching it out over time and suffering the pain and consequences of it. So then there's another part that I love to share, and that is, of course, with our friend Einstein. So what did Einstein actually say then? Singular reality versus relative objectivity. Well, you could have read that. So I'm not going to go completely into this article, because it is really you have to know what Albert was sharing as his, let's say, great discovery. But this great discovery was based on human law. In fact, it's like it was based on an observation, on perception, on how the human ways, laws function in this universe, in this observed universe. So I'm going to turn this away now. So that's maybe too short for some of you. I'd love to talk more about it if you feel like doing that. But you have to get into Einstein's laws that he developed. I say E is mc square, seeing that there's a relativity, and that's an objective relativity. And then it is like nothing in this human sense like is objective. You think it is objective, and that's why you find yourself here. You think that there are really laws operating in this world, and thinking that there are general laws that actually are truth in your dream, in your idea about yourself. So that needs more time for me to express this, to make sense out of that for you. So I'm not going to do that now. I can feel that. It's like that will come one day. And so I use this for the idea of perception. It's like you are, as a scientist, you are observing what you're doing. So now in science, people discover already, it's like, well, the observer actually influences the whole research. I discovered this too when I was a researcher. It's like my hypothesis always was right, because it was literally what I wanted to see. I projected that on the research that I did. And so it is with Einstein too. It's like you are influencing the experiment by your presence, by you seeing that way. And so to become free of that and to stay out of that is impossible as long as you practice with perception. But it makes total sense if you're free of the human laws to come into the law of God, so to speak, and see that everything is working as a whole, and there is no objectivity. All right, so I'm going really fast, I think, in this. So it's all right. So we continue with the class in a moment, by the presentations, by poetry, or by something that you made, visual, or maybe you sing a song, or maybe you do this or that, to express something that you discovered that is related to the idea of cause and effect, time, chaos, and all these things, the will of God, free will, and all that. So I'm curious to see that, and I thank you for your attention and presence here, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.